What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. I am in the middle of switching up my setup, and also I need to put this video out quickly, so I apologize in advance for the audio quality of my voice, so we're just going to have to get through that. So today I'm going to show you what went into the making of my latest song. This is Spark, and this is kind of a festival-style progressive house track. So I'm going to start off with the drop. I've got the second section on loop, and I'm going to just build this up piece by piece and then go into some of the individual elements. So here we go. So that's the drop. Really not like a ton going on. It's a few different elements put together in a way that makes them sound big together. So let's start off with the drums. Got a kick. And that's with minimal processing, and I believe this is within the key of the song. I don't remember for sure. So we got that. Clap. Hi-hats. This one's kind of interesting. I actually have it pumped by a LFO tool, so you get this. Let me just solo this by itself. It's kind of a little rise on the hi-hat there. Oh, and by the way, if you hear any background noise, that's probably rain, because it's raining in California and also ripping open the space-time continuum. Back to the drums. We got drop toms, as these are labeled. Let me go on those real quick and then we'll get into the rest of the percussion. So I got two of these layered together, and these are fairly extremely EQ'd as well, so they're both kind of take up different parts of the stereo spectrum, and so you get some width which keeps them separated out from the rest of the drums so they don't get just completely lost in the mix. So this has got a fairly aggressive low cut. Way too muddy. Did not need that much low end, so there's that. And then same on this guy right here. And these are both pumped using LFO tool. And by the way, this hi-hat loop right here is actually from my drum sample pack that I released at the beginning or at the end of last year, which I will be doing another one this year at the end of 2016. So be on the lookout for that. And then finally we got a ride and a crash. So nothing too fancy. They're decently standard elements. So altogether, we get, where are my hi-hats? And then my crash right there. So relatively simple, but pretty effective in my humble opinion. The bass is just one element, and that is this guy right here. And that is a Nexus patch, which if you want to hear my thoughts on Nexus, check the description. Got mixed feelings on it. I use it a lot, but I can't really recommend it. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, just read the description. So let me take off all the processing here. This is what it sounded like originally. And the big thing that's doing a lot of the work is the bass amp. And this is just a preset within the Logic. It's a built-in Logic plugin. And then I'm using a preset on this. So it's basically just adding sub is kind of what it's doing. And then there's some sub and some distortion. And then I've got another distortion on that. So let me... some EQ to bring it a little more low end. And a little more kind of upper mids, 1 to 2K. And then finally, trusty LFO tool. I notice that it's arpeggiated, so it's not one long note, but it's going bop, 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 bop. And so when you get that kind of pulsing effect once it's going through the ducking. So if you take it off, gets more movement out of it, which is awesome. So we've got that, and then finally let's get on to the more melodic elements. A couple of leads. This one is doing most of the heavy lifting, and that's got pretty minimal processing on it, although I did go and tweak the patch. So it's basically a pretty aggressive saw, and then kind of a pluck on top of that. So you get that attack that comes through, so it kind of pokes out of the mix, and then that gigantic saw that just fills up everything else. And then layered with that is another different preset, and it's an octave up. And so these two leads together are really the main element of the mix, and so that makes what I did with the chords make a bit more sense, because if I play the 3 chord layers by themselves, they're not really that extreme or big or in your face, because they don't need to be. And in fact, if they are, the whole mix would just be this gigantic wall of sound in a bad way. And so really the leads are what carry the drop. Well, they carry the whole song, really. And so the job of the chords is to come under and like support that. And so they can't be these big, you know, upper mid heavy elements. They've got to be wide, where the lead is it's somewhat up the middle, somewhat focused, and then these can be wide and just serve to fill out the whole mix. But if I were to take them away, like, let me actually just do that right now. If I were to take them away, it wouldn't be that big a deal, because the lead is doing its job well enough to where I've got this clear, focused, punchy mix, and so I can't let the supersaw chords get in the way of that. They need to keep that mix intact and that kind of clarity intact. And so they're a little more laid back. So they fill it out, but don't make everything all messy. So it's a few different elements. This guy right here, kind of a bit pluckier. This one's even more plucky, and then more plucky. That's another word. And these are also kind of occupying different areas in the stereo spectrum as well. So you get some width. Then you stick the lead and the bass on there. And that's the drop. So, real quick, I want to go into the intro, and then let's do part of the breakdown. So, intro first. There we go. It's a lot of the same elements, but the big difference being what the bass is doing, and then this arpeggiator here. So, I've got this ping-ponging back and forth. Basically a plucked saw is basically all it is, and that of course is pumped, and it's got some reverb within the Nexus again. And then the bass has a ton of high end rolled off, so it's just kind of this minimal element that's really providing this kind of pulse to the intro. So you got that. And then just some arrangement decisions, like having the claps come in over here. You can't see what I'm doing with my hands. Having my claps coming over here, and then also just the reverse ride. So you got like that. And then also one kind of arrangement decision I made was to shorten the rides here, just using LFO tool as basically an envelope shaper. So let me just show you what that's doing. So in the intro, the rides are very short. And then when the drop comes in, I let the rides have more sustain to them, and so it increases the energy level, whereas over here they're kind of laid back, and then over here they've got these gigantic freaking tails. So, and then the rest of it's just some white noise, some risers, and then this the snare element. And then finally, let's go on to the breakdown. So arrangement-wise, there's a bunch of automation going on here of both high and low cut filters, especially, and some cutoffs as well. So it's got the EQ, bunch of high end rolled off, and it just brings it in over time. And it's got that all over a whole bunch of elements. And that's a very, very common technique used in dance music. You've probably seen me do it before if you've been around this channel for a while. And if you listen for it in other dance music, you'll hear it all over the place. It's a very common and very effective technique for just bringing stuff in, building energy, and keeping an arrangement interesting. So probably my favorite part of the song right here. And so we've got no sidechain or anything, so we got the claps once again going on. Just this kind of basic tambourine loop. Let me just solo this by itself here. And the thing that makes that pulsing thing work is once again the chords doing bong, 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 and the bass doing the same thing with the arpeggiator on it. So if I recall correctly, I have the lead subtly ducked a bit so it gets out of the way of the clap and kind of gets this. Once again, it's all about that kind of pulsing feel. And then for the build-up, I finally have this long reverb tail to get rid of that lead, so it kind of transitions your focus over to the chords and the bass, which just play one chord, one chord, one chord, one chord. And then I have a bunch of pitch automation on a bunch of these just to take you up over the course of this area right here, up one octave. And I found that kind of helps build tension nicely. And I've also got the ARP doing that. And these all sound kind of ludicrous on their own, but together it works. And then also I've got low-cut automation to get rid of all this stuff. So when the bass kicks back in, it punches you in the face without having to be incredibly loud or over the top. And finally, just some snares and some risers, so that's all this stuff here. So that's kind of all the main stuff that went into the making of this track. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And I've got a new song coming out in a couple of weeks. Is the plan? We'll see how that goes. I'm Gabe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!